Need some new Commander cards? Well, you can pre-order Commander Legends now from our amazing sponsor, Card Kingdom. Just head on over to cardkingdom.com. Hello, everyone. It's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and I'm here today to talk to you about my 10 favorite cards from Commander Legends. So, you probably know, every time a new set comes out, we do top 10 lists. We do them for Standard and Historic and Modern and Pioneer, and sometimes Legacy and sometimes Pauper and Commander, but Commander Legends is different because Commander as a format is different. If you're playing Standard or Modern or Pioneer, Legacy, Vintage, all those 1v1 formats, it's really about playing good cards, trying to win as much as possible, 5-0 the league, win the Magic Fest or the GP, qualify for whatever they're calling Pro Tours these days. They're very spiky formats at their heart, so our lists usually focus on the best cards that'll actually see play in those formats. Commander, on the other hand, it is about self-expression, about personalization, about having fun with your friends, about playing cards that you wouldn't get to play anyplace else in Magic just because you like them. So in the spirit of the Commander format, we're celebrating Commander Legends this week by having all the Commander Clash crew show off their 10 favorite cards from the set. So these are not the cards that are going to make you win the most. These are not the best cards from the set. These are just the cards that I personally am really excited to play for whatever reason. So let's jump into the list, count them down, starting with number 10. And I couldn't resist cheating a little bit in the spirit of our normal top 10 list, where me and Tomer somehow always end up with 20 cards in an hour and a half long video. But number 10 on the list is the Court Cycle, the cycle of enchantments that make you the Monarch, and then do something else, something even better if you are the Monarch. And the reason this is on my list is I think that Monarch is the literal best multiplayer mechanic that Wizards has ever made. I think that I have had fun, and a lot of fun usually, every single time someone gets the crown in a Commander game, to the point where I would argue in favor of Commander games actually starting with the crown. Like, start with it in the middle of the table, whoever gets first blood gets it. That's how much I love the Monarchy in the Commander format, and the Court Cycle is perfect for players everywhere. Like, I want to play these in my deck just because they make me the Monarch, but you also get some really powerful effects, especially if you are the Monarch. So I'm really hyped to play these. I expect to be slotting them into a lot of decks, mostly to become the Monarch, but Monarch plus additional value is even better, which brings the Court Cycle in at number 10 on our list. Moving on to number 9 on our list, we have Yarlock. And Yarlock, oh man, it's everything I love about Commander and Commander Legends. Is it a good card? Not really. Is it going to be super powerful? Probably not. Is it going to let you build a really unique deck that has never existed before in the history of the Commander format? Like Mana Burn Tribal. Yes, it is, and that's exactly what I want out of my Commander cards. I want, and I think Commander Legends did a great job of this, I want more cards to be playing in the format. My fear about Commander Legends was what was going to happen is we get a bunch of new staples, we get a bunch of really overpowered commanders, which would push a bunch of old cards out of the format. Instead, in general, Wizards did a great job of printing interesting and fairly powerful, but definitely not busted new cards that are going to bring new cards into the format. Like, Yarlock is a commander that wants you to play cards that give your opponent mana, maybe cards that end your opponent's turn, which is just a playstyle that it was never existed before. So I am super hyped to build a Yarlock deck, give everyone a bunch of mana, hopefully burn them out of the game, and have a lot of fun along the way. Moving on to number 8 on our list, we have Zara Renegade Recruiter, and the thing I love about Zara is it's one of those cards that is kind of only as powerful as your opponent's deck. One of the big challenges in the Commander community is how do you balance decks against each other? That's why I have this weird ranking system, which is like semi-functional of my deck's a 10 or a 1 or a 7 or a 6. Well, Zara kind of fixes that problem by itself because when it attacks, you get to look at the defending player's hand, steal one of their creatures and put it into play. So how good Zara is going to be is almost exclusively dependent on how good your opponent's decks are. If your opponent's playing busted Eldrazi and things like that, massive, really powerful creatures with enter the battlefield triggers, Zara's going to be insane. You're going to be stealing really good creatures every time you attack with it. On the other hand, if you're in a low power play group and everyone's playing Skeleton Tribal and Kithkins, Zara's going to be putting 1/1s into play and is not that exciting. So it's one of those commanders whose power level is naturally balanced by what the table's playing, and I love cards like that. Plus, I mean, getting to steal your opponent's opponent's creatures. It's always super fun. What's better than having a well-balanced game of Commander? That is drawing cards, of course, which means number 7 on our list, we have our new turn all your scries into card draw partner commander, Elith Crossroads Augur, and this is just a card that I'm really hyped for because I love drawing cards more than just about anything, and being able to turn scry, which is usually costed really cheaply. Like, look at Syrup Visions, 1 mana, scry 2, draw a card, turning that into a draw 3, and all the other cards like that is absolutely absurd. So I think that once Elith gets on the battlefield, you're just going to draw the most absurd number of cards possible in a deck built around it, and there's nothing I like to do more than that. So that brings Elith in at number 7 on our list. Moving on to number 6 on our list, we have what might be the most controversial pick on the list, Opposition Agent. I know some people are really scared about this card. They think it's busted. They think it's overpowered. I saw some people saying they think it should be banned. I think that Opposition Agent is actually a kind of fun card. I think being able to steal your opponent's spells is really fun. Just look at Gonti. Gonti's a really cool card. Or Send Triplets, sort of, although that can get a little mean at some points. But Opposition Agent, to me, it's a Aven Mind Sensor, but a way more fun version of Aven Mind Sensor, where you actually get to steal one of your opponent's cards. Is it powerful? Yes, it's certainly powerful. But I think that it's actually going to turn out to be at a pretty good power level for the kind of Commander games I play, which are like medium to high powered casual games. It's probably busted in CDH. It might be busted in Legacy or Vintage, but for the kind of Commander games I play, I see this as a really sweet way to get to steal one of your opponent's cards, play it, shut down tutoring for a little while. I think that green decks that tutor up lands should be punished in Commander. They're the most powerful thing going. There's a reason so many decks are playing Cultivates and Kadama's Reaches and Rampant Growths. Those decks need to be hated on a little bit. Opposition Agent make things a little bit fairer, and who knows, like, you could live the dream and flash it in response to like a demonic tutor and just get an absurd amount of value, which sounds really sweet to me, which brings it in at number 6 on our list. Moving on to number 5 on our list, we have Blim Comedic Genius, one of the more unique legends from the set. So whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you get to give that player a permanent you control, and then each player loses life and discards card equal to the number of permanents they control but don't own. This is another one of those commanders that is just really unique. The idea of giving your opponents things in the Rakdos colors in specific is awesome. There's so many mean tricks, from like Demonic Pack to ways to shut down your opponent from playing any lands, to just giving your opponent useless things that do something when they come into play and then don't really do anything afterwards, to just up the number of cards they're discarding and losing life. Blim is like a really mean version of Zedru, and Zedru is already a really sweet commander, but because you're in black, you get even more really cool lose the game shenanigans. This is one of those commanders that's going to make a whole bunch of cards that were never playable in Commander before playable, and that's exactly what I want to see out of this set. And this is one of the decks that I personally am most excited to build out of all the new Commander Legends stuff. Moving on to number 4 on our list, we have Wheel of Misfortune. So Wheel of Misfortune, you probably know, one of my pet peeves in all of Commander is, I love Wheel of Fortune. It's like $200 because of the silly reserve list that Wizards won't get away from. Wheel of Misfortune, I think it's the best of the bad pseudo Wheel of Fortunes that we've ever seen. Yeah, one person doesn't get to draw. Yeah, I'm probably going to lose an absurd amount of life because I want to make sure that I am drawing. But still, it's a powerful effect. And you get some cool tricks where you can maybe use Wheel of Fortune to like set your life total to 1 to win the game with near death experience, or other janky life loss based shenanigans, setting your life total really low and then exchanging life with your opponent. So there's even some cool tricks built in. So it's a Wheel of Fortune almost that's going to cost a ton of life, but sometimes losing that life can actually be good. But still, I mean, Wizards, please, get rid of the reserve list, give me real Wheel of Fortune at a reasonable price. But in the meantime, while we wait for Wizards to wake up, finally do the right thing and get rid of the reserve list, Wheel of Fortune can scratch my wheel itch until then. Moving on to number 3 on our list, we have maybe the most unique commander from the entire set, Obecca Brute Chronologist, a Grixis commander that just straight up ends the turn. And why would you want to end the turn? The answer is mostly to do really janky things that aren't even that powerful. Like, I don't know, keeping your Mirror March tokens around. Maybe you get to take a cheap extra turn spell in a really risky way with something like Final Fortune. So it's not like you're doing broken things with this. You can't make your opponent end the turn, which is probably a good thing because that would be miserable. But this is another commander where all of a sudden, in an Obecca deck, Mirror March and Final Fortune, in all those cards are going to be staples of the deck. They're going to be the best thing going on. You can build I Lose a Game Tribal and use Obecca to make sure you never lose a game. And to me, that just sounds like an absolute blast, which brings Obecca in at number 3 on our list. Moving on to number 2 on our list, we have Sphinx of the Second Sun, and oh man, do I love Sphinx of the Second Sun. This card does basically everything I love in Magic. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you get an additional beginning phase after this phase. Your beginning phase is untap, upkeep, and draw. So what do you get when you get Sphinx on the battlefield? Well, you get an extra upkeep every single turn, which can be really relevant with various like shrines, for example, stuff that draws you cards on your upkeep. So you're getting that. You're getting an extra card draw each turn, like a personal Howling Mine, because you get an extra draw step, and you untap all of your stuff so you can maybe attack. Like, who actually wants to attack anyway? But if you do have to attack for some reason to, I don't know, kill Tomer first or something, then your creatures can be unblocked so you don't die on the backswing. But I'm mostly excited about having this be an extra upkeep card, because Upkeep Tribal, in all the sweet upkeep triggers that you can build around Sphinx of Second Sun, seems absolutely spectacular and like a blast to play. Coming in at number 1 on our list, I mean, how can I resist? Hans Erickson comes in at number 1, and it's partly because I do think Hans is a cool card. Like, being able to put a creature into play from the top of your library, building around it by like preventing the damage or even growing Hans with something like Vigor, that's really sweet. But really, the reason it's here is it kind of looks like me. I feel a connection to Hans, and it doesn't really have all that much to do with gameplay. I just really like the card. I like the art. The lore is amazing. And as a bonus, it's also actually a pretty sweet build around Commander. So anyway, those are my top 10 cards from Commander Legends. That's what I'm really hyped to play. But what do you want to play? Let me know in the comments. What's your top 10? What's your number 1? And here again, I'm not talking about Jewel Lotus, you know, the most busted card. I'm not talking about Opposition Agent, because it is obviously powerful. What is it that you just love about this set? Do you love weird sea creatures? Do you love a certain uncommon partner pairing? Is there a non-legendary card that you like? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.